Sox?
It is what it is in Spanish. S-O-C-K-S.
Oh, yes.
S-O-C-K-S. All right, here we go.
S-O-C-K-S.
Are we live? Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Jubilee Circle. Thank you so much for being here in the building. Thank you so much for being out there wherever you are watching us on the YouTube this morning. So thank you for joining us. 2, 3, 4. Come in your joy, welcome here. Come in your pain, all welcome here. No one is outside, all are welcome here. Lay your burdens down, all are welcome here. When we draw our circle small and our love does not include all, we stand outside God's peace and deny each other release. Come in your joy, all are welcome here. Come in your pain, all are welcome here. No one is outside, all are welcome here. Lay your burdens down, all are welcome here. In this circle, love is shared. In the face of fear, love's feast prepared. There is room at the table for all. No gift you bring is too small. In this circle, all are welcome here. Cast no one aside, all are welcome here. United in peace, all are welcome here. There is no fear, all are welcome here. Come in your joy, all are welcome here. Come in your pain, all are welcome here. No one is outside, all are welcome here. Lay your burdens down, all are welcome here. All welcome here. All are welcome here. Welcome home. Welcome home. Oh yeah. So welcome everybody. We're so glad that you are with us today. And if you are in the room and you're looking at your bulletins, yeah, I'm having a little ink issue this morning, and I wasn't redacting the lyrics. It's a big black spot. That's just how the printer did its thing. So, so if you are out in TV land, you can download a bulletin. You can go to jubileecircle.com, and there is one available there for you. The unredacted version, you can look at it yourself. It won't have big black splotches like the ones here in the room. And yes, I did replace the printer heads today. Yay! So it'll be better next week. All right. So today we are continuing our Via Creativa theme of becoming light. We have been exploring how we can give birth to the creative light of love in this world. So this past week, I'm going to start with a Bob joke. This past week, I ordered an egg and a chicken from Amazon, and very soon I will have the answer to the age-old question. So I'll let y'all know which one comes first, right? So a corollary question might be, which comes first, joy or liberation? Are we joyful because we are liberated, or does joy liberate us? And likewise with celebration, do we celebrate because we are joyful, or does the act of celebrating jumpstart our joy? Do we have to sit around waiting for the joy wagon to show up before we can be free, or before the party can begin? Or do we have to be set free and start the dance before joy arrives on the stage? Who knows? But it might be that it works out both ways. Might be that joy, liberation, and celebration are all in cahoots. They're all playing on the same team, dancing to the same groove, and when you get one going, it just naturally leads to the other. Which would mean that from whatever door you enter the day, be it sadness or hope or struggle or optimism or despair, if you can meet and make friends with just a little bit of freedom or celebration or joy, you'll soon be dancing with all three. Find a place where there's joy, and joy will burn out the pain, writes Joseph Campbell. And the flip side might be, find a place where there's freedom, and the freedom will ignite the joy. Either way, it will transform you. And those transforming moments can turn around your head and your day and make you say,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. All right. At each Jubilee Circle celebration, we begin in the same fashion. We remember the elements of air and water and earth and fire. And we burn brown sage as a reminder to set our intentions. To set our intentions to be the people, the love, the light that we are called to be in this world. To set our intentions for this world, that it be filled with the light and love that we bring and others bring into this world. And we orient ourselves in this sacred time and space by calling the four directions. So I invite you to turn and face the east. Holy One, as the sun rises, help us to be joyful in every day, to smell that morning air, to enjoy that first stretch of the day. Everybody stretch. To enjoy that first bite of food as we break the fast from the night. Teach us, Holy One, how to delight in each moment of our day. Quarter turn to the right and we face the south. The heat from the summer can feel oppressive. It can steal our breath, steal our water as we sweat in the heat. Show us, Holy One, how to find joy in each of these hot and sweaty moments, knowing that each one leads to the fall, to some relief. Help us to delight in each of the seasons of life, Holy One, those that we may find uncomfortable, and especially those we find uncomfortable, and even those we find comfortable. Quarter turn to the right, we face the west. Give us the strength we need, Holy One, to let go of anything that no longer brings us joy. Just as the sun sets in the west, teach us to lighten our burdens, to shed those beliefs and ideas and habits, anything that would weigh us down and keep us from delighting in the world around us. Quarter turn to the right and face the north. Open us, Holy One, to the joys that are present in each moment of our lives. The joy of breathing. Breathe deeply. The joy of singing. The joy of being safe in a wonderful place with our community. Open our ears and our hearts and our minds and our eyes, Holy One, to the simple and amazing delights that are all around us. And as we turn back toward the center and have a look around the room, there is a world of joy in this room right now. It's within each of you. It's within the walls and the floors and the lights and the ceiling and the air. Each person here is a delight, not just to me, but everybody else in the room. And so I invite you in this moment to take delight in each other. And when we feel that joy from our toes to our nose, that's when we all get to say, oh yeah. All right, let's spread some goodness of the sage around. Justin, it's all yours, man. All right. Coming around. And the band gets it from afar.
Literally emptier.
Notice we have our expanded band. This is the largest we've ever been.
This
8
is the
people.
largest band we have ever had.
2 drummers. Yeah.
2 drummers. That's right. Well, we were aiming for Santana, but we'll take it. Santana's got the bongo players and stuff. Huh? Yes. Well, he's closer than I am to playing really good guitar. All right. So join us this morning for a classic from Three Dog Night. Sing a little Joy to the World. Everybody greet each other and
dance.
Have a good dance this morning. Right. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Jeremiah was a bullfrog, was a good friend of mine. I never understood a single word he said, but I helped him drink his wine. And he always had some mighty fine wine, singing joy to the world. All the boys and girls, joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea, joy to you and me. If I were the king of the world, I'd tell you what I'd do. I'd throw away the cars and the bars and the wars and make sweet love to you. Sing it now, joy to the world. All the boys and girls, joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea, joy to you and me. You know I love the ladies, love to have my fun. I'm a high life flyer and a rainbow rider and a straight shooting son of a gun. I said, joy to the world. Joy to the world. All the boys and girls, joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea, joy to you and me. Joy to the world. All the boys and girls, joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea, joy to you and me. Now we do it. Joy to the world. All the boys and girls. That's it. Joy to the world. Joy to you and me. Joy to the world. All the boys and girls now. Joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me. Joy to the world. All the boys and girls now. Joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea. And joy to you and me. Oh, yeah. All right. Y'all may be seated. Oh, y'all already took it upon yourselves to just, take a load off. Thank you. All right. Take a load off.
Spread the joy.
All right. Welcome, everybody, again.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Have a seat.
Just a little bit about us. Jubilee Circle, we are an inclusive, progressive, interfaith community here in Columbia, South Carolina. We teach the timeless common wisdom of love and unity that is found in all mainstream religions, in all metaphysical philosophies, mysticism, and inspired secular and religious writers and teachers throughout the ages. We use popular music, like the stuff you can dance to and have a good time.
Yeah.
We use teaching and weekly celebrations, educational and artistic events, and other community-building activities as we seek to create a space for everyone to experience transformation so then they can go out and be that transformation in the world. We believe that we are here to expand our souls, to find that deeper meaning in life, to renew our commitment to love and peace and justice, to learn how to love wastefully and undergo a transformation from the inside out to discover how to live within our higher divine self. And we also recognize that we are all part of God's good creation. We are formed in stardust and in love and joy. But we humans, we forget this. We believe that we are lost in this world of paradox where you're over here and I'm over here, and then we start judging things. Yeah. We look out on the world, we think it's separate, and we say, oh, that's beautiful, oh, that's ugly, that's good, oh, that's bad. Those people are generous. Those people are stingy. Those people are very loving. And those people, they're just recalcitrant, obstreperous. We have a thesaurus here. But let us remember our true function here, Jubilants. It is to continually return to that home that we have never truly left with our Creator while we embody and become that light of the world. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, coming up next Sunday, a few announcements. We're going to continue our Via Creativa theme. We're going to play some games next Sunday. We've got a couple of games that we'll start with, and then we are going to use some music from Alanis Morissette and talk about the light of permission. So it's going to be fun. So get your game on. The person who does not like games is going to play a game with you. So
You got a week to get the spirit.
So be here for that. On Wednesday nights, Lee McEachern is leading our Course in Miracles discussion group at 7:30 p.m. If you can't be here in person, we are adding a Zoom feature, so you're welcome to Zoom in and join us for our discussions. It's very informal. We just read from a lesson, read from the text, and talk about some of the concepts and things that we're reading. So it's very non-intimidating. It's and we're an easygoing group, so join us. I got my first chance to go to Soundy School this morning, and oh my God, oh Trisha, you're doing some amazing stuff over there next door. It's beautiful. We need to tell the world. Jim and I have plans for you. We're gonna videotape that and show everybody what Soundy School looks like and sounds like and feels like, so you can come and enjoy. So every Sunday morning at 10:30, join us for some sound healing over there. Had some shakers and the rain. We made a rainstorm this morning. It was beautiful. Oh, it was wonderful. So come for some good sound healing. And then Friday, March 4th, it will be our monthly Circle Coffee House and Open Mic. Reverend Marv Ward is going to be our feature act. And if you have not heard Reverend Marv Ward play guitar,
Blues.
I could watch that man all night and sing. And so come and enjoy Marv. He is really wonderful. So he starts at 7, and Open Mic starts at 8. Is there anything I'm missing? Oh, and Friday was Lee's birthday.
Happy birthday!
Happy
birthday!
Happy birthday
to you! Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday, dear Lee! Happy birthday to you!
We served him his first legal drink
many
last night.
More.
Well, okay, so it wasn't really. Okay. Hear these wise and holy words. This wise and holy woman.
Hopes and dreams, you know.
Hashtag life goals.
Right. From the Jesus story, Luke 15:11-28. Then Jesus said, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, 'Father, give me the share of the property that will belong to me.' So he divided his property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and traveled to a distant country, and then he squandered his property in dissolute living. When he had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to the citizens of the country, who sent him to his fields to feed the pigs. He would gladly have filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. But he came to himself and said, "How many of my father's hired hands have bread enough to spare? But here I am dying of hunger. I will get up and go to my father, and I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired hands.' So he set off and went to his father. But while he was still far off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. He ran and put his arms around him and kissed him. And then the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his slaves, Quickly bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet, and give the fatted calf and kill it. And let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to celebrate. Now his elder son was in the field, and when he came and approached the house, he heard the music and dancing. He called one of the servants and asked what was going on. He replied, "Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf because he has got him back safe and sound." And then he became angry and refused to go in. From the Christian Scriptures, Ephesians 5, 8, and 9. For once you were darkness, but now in the Lord you are light. Live as children of light. For as the fruit of the light is found in all that is good and right and true. From A Course in Miracles, chapter 29. Seek not outside yourself, for it will fail, and you will weep each time an idol falls. Heaven cannot be found where it is not, and there can be no peace excepting there. For all your pain comes simply from a futile search for what you want, insisting where it must be found. What if it is not there? Do you prefer that you be right or happy? Be you glad that you are told where happiness abides, and seek no longer elsewhere.
These are wise and holy words.
Thanks be to
All
God.
creation is holy word. All creation speaks volumes of the holy. Hallelujah. That one line from A Course in Miracles. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? And the ego says, both. Both.
Happy.
I want to be right, and I want to be happy. How does that work out for you?
Yeah.
Very safe. Yes, it's very selfish. I want to be right. I am right. And I want to be happy. How can you be happy if you're not right? Right? Right, my friends, is a state of mind. Right to the ego is a perception. Right to your higher divine self is a state of mind. And it doesn't matter if anybody's wrong on the internet. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Because we're all right inside. And so the real thing is that we are right and happy. We are. Because we're all right inside. Even those we disagree with, they're all right inside. In their higher divine self. And sometimes it's easier to see that in people outside of ourselves. But do you know that you are right and happy inside? Are you right and happy in your own skin? That's the true question. Don't worry about anybody else. Because when you know that you are right, because you are innocent, because you are the light of the world, and that is the source of your happiness and joy, when you know that, everybody else will understand too. Step one, are you right and happy? Breathe deeply. I bought this really nice guitar, and then the battery died this morning. And it's not one that you can just plug in. I mean, it's not one you can put a battery in. You plug the darn thing in. So. But I can't be up here without it because that feels weird. So I'm just going to, this is a prop this morning. Sounds a lot better. Right. All right. Song this morning comes from singer and songwriter Michael Franti. The song is called It's Good to Be Alive Today. It's from his 2016 release, Soul Rocker. And we have a guest singer this morning. Woo! Beth's going to...
Everybody pray.
Beth's going to be singing it this morning because I'm too white to rap.
Well,
Go. You should hear her do Baby Got Back. She's
Okay, all right.
that's next week's sermon.
Yeah, that's
Tune in.
But her, so her rap name, she got her rap name recently. It's called
Yeah.
Lil Squishy.
No squishy.
So please welcome this morning
Commentator.
Lil Squishy with CC and the Recalcitrants.
Little squishy.
Just got really weird. Yeah.
2, 3, 4. It's a long road. Oh.
Every day I wake up and turn my phone on. I read the news of the day just as it's coming down. I do my best not to let it get me down. I try to keep my head up, but this is Babylon. This world is in crisis, we try to fight it. This changing climate, the scientists and politicians divided by it. So many ways that we could solve it, but they'll never sign it. This mountain's tumbling down, but still we try to climb it. It's in the Torah, Quran, in the Bible. Love is the message, but somehow we've turned to rivals. It's come to people always picking up their rifles. Another school getting shot up, homicidal. Some people trying to look fly, some people trying to get high, some people losing their mind, some people trying to get by. And when you look in my eyes, you see the sign of the times. We are looking for the same thing.
But what if this song's number one?
Would it mean that love had won? Would it mean that the world was saved and no guns are being drawn today? What if everybody had a job and nobody had to break the law? What if everyone could say, that it's good to be alive today? Oh, 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 oh. It's good to be alive today. Oh, 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 oh. It's good to be alive today. Oh, 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 oh. It's good to be alive today. Oh, oh, oh.
Coming up on March 20th, mark your calendar, the world will celebrate something known as the International Day of Happiness. The day was created by a United Nations resolution passed in 2012, which states that the pursuit of happiness is a fundamental human goal. Not only that, the resolution declares that happiness is a universal human right. As such, the resolution promotes the happiness and well-being of people as the only solid basis. I'm going to say that again. The resolution promotes the happiness and well-being of people as the only solid basis for good policymaking by world governments. Imagine. Our founding fathers didn't declare happiness as a human right in this nation, but they did enshrine the idea that everyone should be free to pursue happiness in whatever form they believe it takes, within the limits of the law, of course. But what is this happiness that we're talking about anyway? I mean, what makes me happy may make someone else miserable, and what makes me miserable may be the ticket to somebody else's bliss. So I think the problem might be is that we're confusing happiness and joy. You see, happiness is often fleeting because it depends on conditions outside of ourselves being just right. Joy, on the other hand, is something that we can each have no matter what is happening out here in the world. The pursuit of happiness, though, is all that the ego tells us life is about. And it can get pretty addicting. I mean, we find something or encounter a situation that makes us ecstatic, and when the feeling passes, whoo, we are out there looking for the next happiness hit. I know this, and I know this search and experience firsthand. Back in 2007, I decided to write my first book. So I cobbled together the first few chapters. I did some research on how to get published, and I sent query letters out to agents. And after weeks and weeks and weeks of rejection, I finally hooked an agent.
Yay.
Yeah, I know, who guided me through some rewrites, and then he took me on as his client, and I was elated. I was dancing around the house. I got an agent. Oh, my God. And just as that high began to diminish, the agent called and said he'd found a publisher for the book. My happiness again. Woohoo! I'm up off the floor, a few feet. I mean, I could hardly contain myself. More happiness followed. I signed the contract, got a little bit of money in advance, and got to work. And the bloom kind of fell off the rose at that point. I don't know if anybody knows, but writing a book is hard work. Because it's like, okay, I got like 3 chapters, and now they want 50,000 words. I don't even know if I know 50,000 words. There's going to be lots of ands and buts, right? And so, thes and a's, right. So I spent the next few months hyperventilating over this fast approaching deadline with this fancy publishing house that was expecting a book that made some modicum of sense and would make them a little money, more than I would make anyway, but them's how it works. But my happiness waned for a bit during that process. But you know what? Went right back up again when I held the book in my hand about a year or so later.
Yeah.
To this day, I can still conjure up all those feelings of happiness, but overall, it was fleeting because the outside circumstances that made it happen aren't happening anymore. So my experience helps me to better appreciate the story of the prodigal son in today's Jesus story. This story that we have read over and over and over again, and all of you your minds just went blank when it started. Oh, the prodigal son. I don't need to listen to this. Let's go back and revisit that story that you didn't listen to this morning. Here's a guy who is completely dedicated to the pursuit of happiness. So much so that he goes to dear old dad and says, "Give me my inheritance now." And he goes off to the big city, gets the heck off of the farm, and he's living it up. He's happy. For a little while, anyway. He's partying. He's hanging out with his new friends. And then the money runs out. Gee, where'd all those friends go? No more big parties. His exterior condition for happiness evaporated with his funds, and he finds himself all alone. He's slopping pigs and dreaming about going home. And we're all like that prodigal son in some way. We want our inheritance of happiness right now so we can go out and blow it, spend it as we please. And we're all pursuing something that makes us happy, whether it's to look fly or get high or just get by, as Michael Franti sings. But happiness, based on anything outside of ourselves, is always going to be temporary. It's the ego's battle cry, after all. Seek, but do not find. We Americans, though, we love that we are free to pursue happiness. It's one of our God-given rights, after all. But how would it change the way you lived in this world, Jubilants, if we stopped pursuing happiness just for ourselves and instead sought to ensure a way that everyone can feel good about being alive? What if that was the basis of good governance all around this world? When we are pursuing the ego's directive to seek but do not find, we, like the prodigal son, we forget who we are. When he's down in that pigsty working for next to nothing, the scripture says he came to himself. How many times have you come to yourself? That capital S self. He realized in that moment that he'd been played by the ego, that he had been caught up in this pursuit of happiness outside of himself, and he no longer knew who he was. He no longer knew, as the Apostle Paul would later call it, a child of light. That realization, it was enough to bring the prodigal son back to his true home, that higher divine self, that seat of true joy that resides within each of us. And I think it's instructive to note that just the realization that he had been duped by the ego was enough to bring him back to his true home of joy. He didn't have to do anything after that. Just realizing it, that he was a child of the light, brought him back to joy. And this is the heart of what A Course in Miracles calls a little willingness, or what Jesus calls having faith as tiny as a mustard seed. The story, though, it tries to warn us that even when we realize that the ego is deceiving us, it will keep on trying. As the son makes his way home, he rehearses all the things he's going to say to Dad. He's going to apologize. I'm so sorry. Will you take me back, please? I don't have to be your son anymore. I can just work out in the field with the hired hands. I just want to come home. And that's what the ego does to keep us in its clutches. It tells us nobody gets a free lunch. There's going to be a price to pay for your betrayal of your true nature. God is going to punish you for your perceived sins, and it's going to be bad. Maybe you don't really want to go home after all, the ego says. I mean, you're not going to be welcome there. It's going to be bad. Just stay here. Stay right where you are. Pursue that next hit of happiness. It's coming up. I promise. I promise. But the story says that as the son went back home, he was still far off, and his father saw him and was filled with compassion. The father, who represents God in this story, was not angry at all. Instead, he understood deeply his son's pain, because compassion means to suffer with. Our higher divine self knows the pain that our ego can cause, and it, like the father of this story, responds immediately with open arms when we decide we want to come home and be lifted above that manipulative ego. So when the son gets home, he's ready. He's got all of his excuses ready, and his father doesn't even listen to it. Doesn't even hear the apologies. Doesn't even hear the attempt to repent of his sins. Instead, the father is immediately hugging him and calling for a celebration. Oh, but what about that other guy? Because the guy had another son, right?
Right.
If the prodigal son is us, taken over by the ego, who's the other guy? Well, I believe we are both the prodigal son and the son who remained home, because it represents two sides of our ego. The prodigal son is that part of our ego that tells us only happiness can be found out here in the world. Live with abandon. Seize the day. Go big or go home. Gotta go about it. Happiness is out there. It's that risk-taking side of our ego that convinces us we can only find it out here in worldly success. The older brother, however, is the other side of our ego that says happiness is found only when we play it safe, only when we remain small in the world and simply do what's expected of us and no more. The brother who stayed home is our cautious, reticent side, not wanting to venture too far from creature comforts, because that's where we believe happiness is truly found. It's found by playing small. Stay home, stay in your little ego cocoon. The Father, of course, is the higher divine self who welcomes us home, no matter where we've been, whether we've been out on the town or out in the field. What's key here is that the Father invites all aspects of our ego into this holy higher relationship where it can become transformed and liberated and celebrated for who it really is, a child of God. In this story, the wild and crazy ego gets the message. It's tired of being out there living it up. But you know, Jesus in this story, he never tells us if the ego part that craves comfort and security was also willing to join the celebration. So the question becomes for us, can we stretch that part of ourselves that craves routine and comfort to fully experience the joy of living not just for ourselves, but for others in the world? Breathe deeply. 2, 3, 4.
People used to feel safer when they would hear a siren. like help is on the way, but now they only think of violence. Another youth in the streets and police are in a conflict, and now we hear the guns click. Yo, corona crisis and ISIS is taking heads off. A drone is bombing a village and now the kids all signing up to be soldiers, but they are willing now to do the killing now. But are you willing now? Some politicians out there making up some problems and trying to tell the people that they can solve them with TV shows and sound bites and quotes. But everybody knows that it's all about the cash flow. They're telling you and me they're making progress, but tell it to the millions of jobless. It's like a players club with billions of dollars. To get the votes, you got to make it rain in Congress. Some people trying to look fly, some people trying to get high, some people losing their mind, some people trying to get by. And when you look in my eyes, you see the sign of the times. We all looking for the same thing. What if this was number one? Would it mean that love had won? Would it mean that the world was saved and no bombs are being dropped today? What if anybody had a job and nobody had to break a law? What if everyone could say that it's good to be alive today? Oh, 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 it's good to be alive today. Oh, 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 yeah, it's good to be alive today. Oh, 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 it's good to be alive today. Oh, oh, oh.
While the U.S. may have a constitution that guarantees citizens the right to pursue happiness, it seems that we're just not always that successful. The 2021 World Happiness Report ranks the U.S. as 14th, behind such places as Ireland, Australia, and Israel. The top 3 happiest countries in the world. Anybody got a guess? Denmark.
Sweden,
No. Finland.
Finland,
One more.
Estonia.
Iceland.
Iceland.
Wow.
She's reading over my shoulder. So in the top 3 is Finland, Iceland, and Denmark.
Wow.
all those hot tub things.
Yeah.
Right, right. All those hot tub things. Natural hot tubs.
It's the
Right.
sauna.
Right.
Suits all year round.
The hot cocoa.
Right. That's it. We need more hot springs in the U.S. Yeah. So these rankings are telling, since they're based on such factors as life expectancy, social support, perceptions of government corruption, and the freedom to make life choices. While the top 3 countries may not have a right to pursue happiness enshrined in their founding documents, they have leaders who understand happiness is most often found in communal pursuits and not individualistic ones. This is the difference, my friends, between happiness and joy. The pursuit of happiness in the U.S. especially is about my happiness. It's not about our happiness. In fact, studies in the U.S. have shown that people who strongly value and pursue happiness are more likely to feel disappointed, lonely, and depressed. It enhances our feelings of separation when we're pursuing my happiness. In other cultures, however, where collectivist ideals are more valued than rugged individualism, happiness is more likely to be seen as a result of fostering social engagement, being concerned for the well-being of others, and feeling connected to the whole of humanity, where we don't see separation all the time. So I might be able to conjure up all those old feelings of happiness about my book being published, but what brings me joy is that even today, there are human connections being made through the book. I've talked with people whose lives have been affected by my words and how something I put out in the world helped them heal and grow. Even now, almost 15 years later, after its publication, I received a note just this past week from someone who said they had been helped by reading my book. That's connection. That's what brings me lasting joy. So writing the book was a personal achievement, but knowing that it's a source of healing and hope for others is joy. It's not just happiness. Seek not outside yourself. A Course in Miracles reminds us, for all your pain, jubilants, comes simply from a futile search for what you want, insisting where it must be found. If you insist that it's out there, you're never going to be happy. You will always be in pain. What the Father of the prodigal son, that higher divine self we all possess, offers to do for us is to transform our pain of futile searching, to liberate us from it and celebrate our ultimate freedom. My book, it sprung from a really deep source of pain, a seemingly impossible task to reconcile my spirituality and sexuality. But once I turned the pain over to the higher divine self and stopped believing the ego's lies that the two were irreconcilable, then the holy threw a big old celebration for me and said, welcome home. I learned in that moment that what truly brought me joy was not just the journey out of my own pain, but realizing that this pain is not unique to me, but something that others are seeking healing from as well. We're all connected jubilants. And when we share the transformation of our own pain, others are transformed in the process, and that is true liberation. When we pursue happiness just for ourselves, it's fleeting, but when we can share that happiness with others, it transforms into a lasting joy, not just for ourselves, but for the world. When we seek corporate instead of personal happiness, we harvest an abundance of joy. And in that moment, when we recognize we're living in this far-off country of the selfish ego, we can go home. But we have to remember that when we encounter others living in their own far-off country of the ego, we're invited to be like the Father to them and be compassionate, to look past their pigsty and see the innocent, true child of God who shares this joyful home of oneness with us. We work, jubilants, as messengers of God to bring that glimmer of joy to the world, to ensure that one day everyone can say, yeah, it's good to be alive today. Amen. Because the world is fed, the world is clothed, the world is sheltered, and it is equitable. This is what it means to be children of the light, jubilants. We must care for one another because we are one another. We share the light, the one light of the holy within us. And when we shine our light, not just for ourselves, but for others, then we bring everyone to the light. And we all say,
oh, yeah.
Sorry. 1, 2. What if this song's number one? What if it mean that love had won? What would it mean that the world was saved? That no bombs are being dropped
Somebody
today?
sing.
What if everybody had a job?
That's it.
And nobody had to break a law? What if everyone could say,
yeah,
if we were found,
it's good to be
alive
alive
today?
today.
Oh, oh, oh,
It's good to be alive today.
oh, oh, oh,
Yeah, it's good to be alive today.
oh, 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 oh,
It's good to be alive today.
oh, oh.
What if we all say,
One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, I will say that it's good to be alive today. One day, one day, one day, one day, it's good. One day, I will say that it's good to be alive today.
It's good to be alive today, isn't it,
Woohoo,
Cece?
party!
Okay. She's on my cord. That's all right. It needs to be. It's not doing anything anyway. We'll unplug it. That's right. So we named the band for me because my initials are CC, and then there's CC. So we really named the band for CC. So we're CC and the recalcitrant. CC and CC and the anyway.
Maybe Cece was named for you.
Francis of Assisi. Yes.
Oh, Francis.
Everybody breathe deeply. It's good to be alive today. Every day is a good day to be alive. Well, we don't know if it beats the alternative, Bob.
We don't
have no
know.
idea. To our ego, it beats the alternative, that's for sure. But it's good to be alive. In Jubilee in Asheville, they always say, it's good to be alive in the Blue Ridge Mountains today.
Yeah.
It's good to be alive in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains today.
Field trip.
It's good to be alive in the Sand Hills. That's it. It's a great day in South Carolina.
Yes.
How may I help you? Right.
Thank you, Governor.
Hey, everybody. This is the time where we talk about how good it is to have you as a supporter, to have everyone in this room as a supporter, everyone out there who is watching us around the world. It's good to be alive, and Jubilee is alive, and it has been alive through all of this coronavirus, whatchamacallit, because of you, because of your support, because you have given generously of your time, you have given generously of your talent, you have given time generously of your prayers and your thoughts, and also your monetary gifts. And we are appreciative of everyone who has kept Jubilee Circle alive in these nearly 3 years. I guess next month will be 3 years, right? March 2020. Yep,
No,
I
2
guess
years.
so.
2 years.
2?
2 years. It feels like 3.
It feels
but
like
it's just
20,
2.
actually.
In a few months, the apocalypse will be over.
Right. Everybody's an optimist. So here in the building, we are going to turn now to a little bit of discussion. So for all of you out there watching us live, thank you so much. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you being here this morning. And we remind you of the words of Meister Eckhart that says, if the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. And because when you come from that place of gratitude, that place of pure joy, and you see everything in your world as something to be thankful and grateful for, that is the most genuine prayer you can say. And so I invite you to say, thank you.
Thank you.
And to say,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. We'll see you all next week.